All right. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our event today. This is our final day, our final event of our Secret Path Week events, presentations. So as we gather today, we are reminded that throughout Canada, we are situated on Indigenous lands, both ceded treaty land and unceded land. This land is steeped in rich Indigenous history and home to many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people today. As a country, we have a responsibility for the stewardship of the land on which we live and work. So today I acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, and the neutral people on whose territory I am broadcasting from right now. So my name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. I run an organization called Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. If you've never visited our site before, we bring science, adventure, exploration, and conservation live into classrooms across North America and beyond. You can visit exploringbytheseat.com to find a ton of live events each month that your classes can join in with us. So this is our third year collaborating with the Gore Downey and Chani Wenjack Fund to bring Indigenous leaders, artists, and scientists live to classrooms across Canada. This week, we've had an incredible series of events, including musical performances, language lessons, storytelling, and so much more. The Gore Downey and Chani Wenjack Fund is part of musician Gore Downey's legacy and embodies his commitment and that of both the Downey and Wenjack families to build cultural understanding and create a path towards reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples. So the goal of the Downey Wenjack Fund is to continue the conversation that began with Chani Wenjack's residential school story and to support the reconciliation process through awareness, education, and action. And many of the classrooms joining us live today are already doing something as a legacy school. So if you haven't heard of the Legacy Schools program, it's a free national initiative to engage, empower, and connect students and educators to further reconciliation through awareness, education, and action. So if you visit the website, downeywenjack.ca, you can find all the information there to sign your school, your classroom up as a legacy school. You'll get a great toolkit, and you can join hundreds and hundreds of other classrooms across the country who have been completing acts of reconciliation in their schools, in their communities, and at home with their families. Okay, let's get on to our event today. Really excited to have Juno Award winning artist Gritt joining us. GR is a two-spirit, transgender, Francophone, Anishinaabe, and Métis artist. After living many years in Yellowknife, they have returned to Sudbury, Robinson Huron Treaty territory, where they grew up. This homecoming coincides with a journey that they feel better represents them. With these changes has come a new voice, both physically and in the growing magnetism of their songwriting. So after releasing their first single, Quiet Years, November 27th in 2020, and their second single, Doubt It, February 12th, 2021, GR released their full-length album, Ancestors, in April of 2021 on Coax Records. So I am so excited to welcome GR in with us right now. Hey, GR, how are you today?
Ani, bonjour. It's going good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. Well, so excited to let you take over for a little bit.
All right, sounds good. So, Ani, bonjour, everyone. GR Gritt and Indigenous cause. My name is GR Gritt. I'm coming to you from Sudbury, Ontario, which is in Sagamok, and it's on Robinson Huron Treaty territory. So this is the ancestral territory of my people, both ancestrally and currently. We're still here. And it's actually a nice, beautiful day out. I got to go for a walk earlier today, and it's sunny but chilly, and which I think is a real kind of Canadian experience at this time of year. It's still great to be back. I was able to do this last year too at the Chani Wenjack Foundation and be able to connect with you all. So I'm going to sing some songs, and then maybe while you're listening, if there's anything that brings up questions or thoughts, you can take note of that. And after I perform a few songs, we're going to be able to chat and connect, and hopefully you'll have some questions that you can ask me, whether it's from songwriting or about equipment or anything like that. Whatever kind of strikes chord with you, where you have like an aha moment or aha kind of moment, you can ask those questions after. So I really like that part. It's kind of my favorite part of the whole thing, and is just being able to chat with you and answer some questions. So the first song I'm going to do is a song called Letters and Trees. It's about a breakup and realizing that your friendship or your relationship is over, because there's lots of different kinds of relationships, right? And writing a song about that to kind of go grieve that process and to go through all those feelings, So yeah, here we go. Letters and Trees. I'm gonna take these letters from my room, bring them to some trees. I'll dig a hole and I'll bury them, put them out of their misery. 'Cause now that you got somebody new, they don't need to carry their words to me. So they're better off lying there in peace among some distant family. Where I used to see your poetry, now I only notice cursive on dead trees. And I think about how many rings have been wasted on you and me. So put these pages back in their place, like I am planting a few seeds. And maybe one day, long, long after I've gone, a forest will honor our memories. Branches will be waving goodbye underneath a choir of leaves, restless in the wind, with all their singing and their dancing. And the branches will be waving goodbye underneath a choir of leaves, rejoicing in a life where I could never be happy. That you've got somebody new, they don't need to carry your words to me. So they're better off lying there in peace and forgetting all about me. Miigwech, everyone. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. I was not expecting that. That's so nice. All right. This is I guess a sad song. I guess most songs, or a lot of songs, can be sad songs. Again, it's about, actually, maybe I want to go into that one. No, maybe I'll go into the album. Let's do that. It's too nice a day for a bunch of sad songs like that. So I'm going to go into a song on my new album. It's called Quiet Years. And yeah, I released it last November. Which really... Oops. No. Here we go. Got a pedal board down here, and I'm just trying to go through all the settings and stuff. Okay, I got it. Oh, no, I have the wrong one. So sorry. There we go. Quiet Years. There we go. Great. So, it's called Quiet Years, and it's off my latest record, which, if you want to listen to it, you can find some songs on YouTube or on Bandcamp. I guess if you're on Spotify and stuff like that, you can find on there too, but I usually just use Bandcamp or YouTube, and it's called Quiet Years, and it's about the quiet years, or the silent years, I should say, is a period of time that the Haida Nation, and so that nation is on the west coast, on Haida Gwaii. So the Haida Nation, they named this era of time where they were impacted so severely by colonization the silent years, because they were silenced, among many other things. It made me reflect on my family history, our relationship with colonization, it having such a huge impact on my great-grandfather, my grandfather, which then trickled down to my mom and then to me. And those effects are still ongoing. Those effects of residential schools, of even, smallpox, residential schools, criminalization of culture, of language, of ceremony, of songs, not being able to leave your community. All of these things have an impact today. They're still present. These aren't things that are way off in the past. They are happening now and being experienced now. And the effects of that are happening now too, all simultaneously. So I wanted to write something about my own relationship to that. So I called it The Quiet Years, kind of an homage to the silent years. And it just made me think of my grandmother and all these questions that I would have liked to have asked her or have a conversation about it. But she passed away when I was in high school, and I didn't know to ask her these questions. So this is my way of still asking these questions of her, wherever she is, and and to share kind of that history. So here we go. songs in silence, hoping to be strong, hanging in the balance, wondering how long you could hold on, waiting out the quiet years. Quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. Have you been comforted by the passages and prayers? Were you trying to forgive them for stealing all those years? Trying to stay hidden by shortening your hair? Did you have a vision of a time when they wouldn't care? Waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. Quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. And did you keep it from your children so they'd have a better life? From father down to daughter, to my mother and down to mine. Did you struggle with not knowing if the choice you made was right? Would you have changed your mind if there was an end in sight? Waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. Out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. Waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years, waiting out the quiet years. Thank you so much, Miigwech. Thank you. Such good energy and medicine. Holy. Okay. Great. Wow, Miigwech. This next song is, gotta put my capo on here, which for those who don't play guitar, it just blocks off all the strings at the same point, or the same fret. Right on. Okay. So this song is called Doubt It, and if you folks are talking about reconciliation and reconciliation, then this song is kind of about Yeah, reconciliation about how, the relationship between two people or two nations or two different entities and things not going well, and trying to show basically between two parties, if one of them is hurting the other, not listening to the other, it's kind of saying like, hey, well, try to see things from my side, try to have a bit of empathy about where I'm coming from, and I think that's really what we need, is a lot more empathy from especially like non-indigenous organizations and people, to be like, listen, really just take a moment, like close your eyes and really listen to our stories and to what we're saying, so that you can understand, like, if that affected you, how would you feel, and how do you think that would impact you and your family and your community and your livelihood. So that's kind of what this song is about. It's called Doubt It. It started like everyone knew for a time. I thought we held the same thread, were of one mind. We met to lay out what each of us needs. You said you were listening, but something's making me didn't doubt it, didn't doubt it, didn't doubt it. You say it's not your fault, your hands are tied as you wrap your strings tight around my mind. You ask me for one more day every year, month and week. Your friends say to wait, you know what's best for me. Didn't I doubt it? Didn't 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 doubt it? And if I did to you as you've done to me, take your children, your language, your water and trees, take your culture, your land, your bones and bodies. Would you ever believe me when I say that I'm sorry? Didn't I doubt it? Didn't 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 doubt it? Never believe me. Didn't doubt it? Didn't doubt it? Never believe me. Doubt it? Didn't I doubt it? Didn't I doubt it? Never believe me. Didn't doubt it? Didn't doubt it? Never believe me. Doubt it? Didn't 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 doubt it? Thank you so much. Thank you. Do I have time for one more?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Okay, one more and then questions. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Okay, sweet. All right, I'll do one more song. And it doesn't go like that at all. Okay, let's do that. Oops. Okay, here we go. I'm just gonna block all these off here. Okay. So this next song is called Ancestors. It's the title track off my album. My album is called Ancestors. And let me just find this here. So many settings with every little thing that I use here. Okay. That and that. Okay. So yeah, it's called Ancestors. And on the track is an awesome non-binary Filipinx rapper, multi-instrumentalist, just an incredible human, Kim Ordle. And so they are a terrific musician. If ever you get the chance, please go listen to them or see them perform. So Kim Ordle, and they perform on the track, but I'm going to do a more acoustic version. So yeah, this is called Ancestors. Again, you can find it on YouTube, on Bandcamp. And actually, if you folks ever use Bandcamp, you can search me on there, Gritt. And if you can stream my music, but if you want it, you can just email me and I can send you a link to download it if you want. So without any delay, here we go. It's a little fast. Let's turn that down a bit. There we go. You ask for a seat and there's no room. You walk that path but you can't come through. You ask to be heard and you're being rude. Raise your voice and they might shoot. Even when you can't feel it, baby, know that they're a part of you. Don't you know that you're sacred, baby, and our ancestors are holding you. They say that it's in your bones. They trigger your thirst to make you drink. They say that you're breaking your own homes, but holes in your family to watch you sink. Even when you can't feel it, baby, know that they're a part of you. Don't you know that you're sacred, baby, and our ancestors are holding you. Are you? Are you? Are you? Don't play their game. When they see you own it, they'll steal your moves. Keep holding on to those deep roots. One day you'll be ancestors too. Even when you can't feel it, baby, know that they're a part of you. Don't you know that you're sacred, baby, and our ancestors
ancestors are holding you, even when you can't feel it, baby. Know that they're a part of you. Don't you know that you're sacred, baby? And our ancestors are holding you.
Thank you, Miigwech. Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much.
All right. GR, thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.
Well, let's do classes.
Yes, please.
Live, via YouTube, you can send some questions via the live chat. But for now, let's read some camera.
Awesome. Oh, let me turn that off.
Okay. Miss Millie's group, grade 7, King Carden. Let's bring them in the call. Hey, grade 7.
Hello.
What is the process making music? What is your favorite part of music?
Okay, so if I heard correctly, what is my process of making music and what do I like about making music?
Yeah, your favorite part.
My favorite part in the process?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sweet. So, oh geez. For music making, I feel like it can be different every time. Sometimes there's words that come to me first. Sometimes it's playing on guitar, something that I normally play, and then I make a fumble a little bit, and I'm trying something new, and then something just kind of sticks, and I like it, and I'll go with that. Sometimes, I start playing on a drum sampler, like just like a beat, and you can just kind of record that and loop it or slow it down or speed it up, see how it feels, and then kind of go from there. So for a lot of the songs I performed, especially on the new album, it all started with a beat first. So something on the drum or drum sampler, and then kind of layering on top some like bass or some synth or a bit of guitar. And then I just did vocalizations with my voice of like, so quiet ears are like, do 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 do. That came and we recorded it, and it's actually in the recording of the song. Just kind of fooling around and just being like, oh, I really like that, and ended up just staying from that initial recording, which is really cool. So yeah, I think there might be people that have a more consistent process, maybe where it's always a specific way, but I find for me, it's always a little bit different how I start. So sometimes it's just me and acoustic guitar. Sometimes it's on the computer playing with a beat, recording it, and going from there on a synth and not really playing an acoustic instrument. And then words will come. Yeah. Sometimes it's collaborating with other people. But I think my favorite part, and it's not really a technique or anything. My favorite part is when like I get something and I just love it so much that I just want to like listen to it over and over. Then I feel like, okay, I got something that's really good, because if I want to keep listening to it, then maybe that means other people might want to listen to it as well. It means it's connecting with something, So I guess, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
All right. Great question to get started.
Yeah.
The class to LS is joining us. Toronto, Ontario, grade 7 and 8.
Okay.
Let me pop through into the call. Hey, everyone. Hey, Toronto.
Hello.
Excuse me.
What was your inspiration to start making music?
Okay. Inspiration for first making music. I was bullied a lot in elementary school, like a lot. And And I had started, my parents asked me if I wanted to take guitar lessons. So I started with that when I was pretty young, like 9 or 10. And so I really focused on on practicing playing guitar. I put in a lot of hours on that as a sort of just a way to like release emotions and work through stuff. And then I just started writing poems and then I put them to music, and that's kind of how I started. So it was kind of like a way to process my feelings of feeling like an outcast and feeling lonely and feeling again like I was bullied. But I don't think you need to feel negative feelings or anything to get into music. For me, that's just kind of how it started, and then I found a love of it. And so instead of kind of loneliness or sadness or hurt feelings driving it, it became more of like the joy of doing it and feeling like I was doing something fun and that I was creating something and I had a purpose, and so it kind of shifted into that, and that's really brought me to where I am today, is just like feeling like this is what I'm supposed to do, whether it's for a living or a hobby, but it's a drive to want to create and bring something out in the world. And it could be different. You can have different reasons for being an artist, and that's totally valid and good. That's just for me kind of how it started. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna grab a question from YouTube. Don't be shy to ask. They're tuning in. Some questions there. But Dorset School, they are wondering, how long does it take to learn the technology?
Oh, that's a good question too. Yeah. So everything is like its own little computer. So, you're learning applications on your computer. I don't know if you're using anything specific right now, but like, let's say you're trying to use Microsoft Word. Well, has its own kind of user interface that you're trying to work with and everything. So, this drum sampler right here, analog drum sampler, it has its own way of working. And it has a menu that once you learn it, it kind of makes sense, but it's its own kind of like computer dive that you're like diving into and trying to figure out. So this one took a couple of weeks with a manual and going through and then trying to find YouTube videos and stuff. But this one took a couple of weeks for me. Something like this, I was already familiar with loopers. So this is an RC505 looper. You can loop 5 things independently, and there's faders, so you can like fade stuff in and out. So like la 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 la. Oh, right. Except I'm tethered to this one, so that's not going to work. Sorry. But anticlimactic. Will this work? La 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 la. 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 So I can like fade in and out, right? So I can like fade. And it was still recording. So so you can do that like up to 5 stereo tracks, and it takes a little while to get used to how it functions, and there's parameters that you can change, and you can throw effects like reverb on there, or a chorus which like will be a doubling and a modulation of your voice, or a filter of some kind, so you underwater a bit and then it's clear, or then it's just clear. Can I turn it off? So this one has like a lot of different options too. So does this one. This is just drum samplers and kind of a synth sound. This is whatever I put into it. I can play with it. I can plug a guitar into this, or sometimes I have the drum sampler into here and I can really play with it. And right now they're communicating with each other. So the beat's going here, and this one is going to interact with this guy. So this one is kind of the boss. This one will listen to the tempo of this, which is great for looping because then I don't have to be as precise. It's doing the work for me, which I love. So this one takes not as much time to get going, but if you really want to learn all of the different parameters to like use it to its full potential, it takes a while. And then I have a gig board kind of, it's basically a pedal board, but all the pedals are inside this one unit. So instead of having like 10, 15 pedals that I would hit individually, it's all in this one kind of computer with a screen, and I play around with that. And so that one's taken a little while too, because everything has its own kind of way of functioning, its own menus, its own ways how things are organized. So It takes a while for your brain to wrap around it, but what happens is the more you spend with one or two, then the next one you're kind of like, okay, I think I understand how this works. They all have kind of a similar way of functioning. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's kind of like saying like, if I have an iPhone and then I hop on an Android phone, like it's going to be clunky at first, but they all kind of work similarly. And so you're going to figure out the particularities of each thing as you go. And then I find the more you add in, the more you're able to just kind of figure out how they work. You're not as scared to figure it out, or you're not as intimidated because you're like, I know how to use this, this, and this. So what's one more thing, right? So, yeah.
All right. Great question. Very cool. Mrs. Corkery, they're joining us in Peterborough.
How long does it take you to make a song, and how do you come up with words?
Yeah. Oh, geez. Well, so you know what? Sometimes writing a song feels like it takes 5 minutes, and sometimes writing a song takes years. So, and there's really no telling which one it's gonna be. So I've had some stuff that I had been working on that it really took months and months to finally get words. I had kind of a guitar riff, but sometimes it just, what you're feeling at the moment doesn't fit in with whatever it is that you're playing. So you can try modifying the playing to see if it'll finally work. But most of the time I won't force it. I just kind of like, just trust that something will come and it will be useful. So sometimes that can be minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. And you just got to be kind of patient and keep working at it, I guess. And for me, the words, sometimes I'll write them first. Like there is some poetry or even just like some free writing that I'll do where you don't judge what you're writing. You just write how you're feeling. And if something comes to you, you do that. Or something that's really helpful with words is going for a walk, walking in nature, and just like letting your mind wander. That'll help. Putting down whatever you're doing and like taking a shower can be helpful because again, if you can let your mind wander, that's always helpful. That kind of daydreaming, wandering and stuff is really useful for problem solving. It gives your brain a chance to problem solve in a different kind of way where you're not like so focused and you're like there's pressure to like solve something. Like letting your brain wander and just kind of like let it do its thing. There's some really magical connections that can happen. So a lot of creative people will go on daily walks just to see different things in nature, or let your ideas or memories kind of work itself out. Yeah. So I find for me, that's ways that words can come, but a lot of the time, I'll get like, if you're at the end of like a musical sentence, like you're playing your chords and you're like, that should be the end of the line. I'll get a word there. I'll be like, I know it needs to be like da ba da, or I know that it needs to be 1 syllable or 2 or 3 syllables, and then a word will come to me, and then I'll kind of write the song in reverse. So that'll happen too. But yeah, I feel like there's not really one way to do it. You just kind of go with whatever the song wants. It's not really about you. It's about this thing you're creating and it having its own kind of life.
All right. Something we definitely heard of times is the music kind of the life going and you can take places.
Yeah.
All right. King Card, they have another question for us.
Do you have any other instruments other than just guitar in hand?
Yeah, I do. I've got a different guitar. I've got some keyboards. I've got a violin that I inherited from my nana, which is actually kind of what inspired my last album. Actually, let me grab it. It's right there. So this violin, it was made likely in a factory in Germany in the early 1920s around. There were lots made. And anyone who knows anything about violins like will know about these ones because they all have like there's a little kind of tag in the inside that says like Stradivarius, And it's kind of this idea, that same idea of like the greatest form of flattery is, I forget how to say it, but basically like copying something is like the greatest form of flattery. And so they're like, oh yeah, this is like a Stradivarius. We're copying like the creme de la creme of violins, right? So yeah, this is the violin that I got, that I inherited. And when I got it, there were no tuning pegs. There was no kind of fretboard or fingerboard here at all. There was no bridge. It was just kind of like the body, and it was cracked and it was in a state of disrepair. So I had it repaired in Ottawa, and they were kind of like, are you sure you want to fix this? Because it was in rough shape, and I was like, it's sentimental, so I'd like to get in a playing place. It doesn't matter if it doesn't sound like the most amazing instrument. I just want it to be able to play, and I want to play it. I want to learn how to play on it. So I did play it on the album. So there's like there's these moments in the album where you can hear a violin, and that's me. I used to have a lot more instruments, but like right now I'm renting a bass from Long McQuaid, so there's a bass there. But most of my instruments are like miniature synths or a bigger synth, or again, I have an acoustic guitar, a couple of electrics, things like that. Yeah.
All right. Really great to have that in the heirloom.
Sorry?
Really great to have that in the heirloom. Something from your grandmother.
Oh, an heirloom. Sorry, it was cutting out for a second. Yes, it's yeah, she had it as a decoration, and I think no one else noticed it whatsoever. It was just sitting on a shelf like it was an art piece, and I noticed it every day. I just loved it. And so when she passed, when both my grandparents passed, I think everyone was just kind of like, you're the musician, so here you go. And they didn't even they're like, we never even knew that was there. And I was like, I noticed it every day. So I was really happy that I got it, because it meant a lot to me. So yeah.
Very, very cool. Let's check it out. Hey, the prof. Oh, no, we just lost them.
Oh no.
That's okay. Let's bring in Mrs. Corkery one more.
Hi, I'm sorry, bro.
Okay.
That's okay. This is way in
Thank you so much, though. That was wonderful. Really enjoyed that.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Yo.
Yeah.
All right. Well, GR, thank you so much for the music. Thank you so much for some of the story and behind the songs. A real pleasure you back to back. 2 years running.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks so much for having me, and I really appreciate being asked and to be a part of all this. Good. I love that you're doing stuff with science and getting kids excited about science and history and all that. It's so important. So miigwech to you.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody who's joined us this week. It was incredible to have week. All of the events are available online at exploringbysthe.com. And again, Dara, thank you so much. A real pleasure to end with this event.
Right on, miigwech, and thank you all for being here too, and for listening to my stories and having such great questions. Miigwech.
All right. Thanks everyone. Sign off for now.